Hey y'all, what's up? So we have a really lovely long vlog for you guys today, but first we wanted to make an announcement that our shirts are back up available for pre-order with new designs. So for those of you who've never heard us talk about this before, we actually do our merchandise a little bit different. We don't use like a big company that drop ships shirts. We used to do that, but we decided to kind of change our merch approach to come into alignment with some convictions we have. Like, we love to support small local businesses. We really feel passionately about ethically sourcing clothing materials and ethically sourcing where they're made and how they're made and what they're made with. And so we actually partner with a small local business to do our shirts. We use high quality t-shirts for this. By doing that, one of the things we have to do is we have to do our shirts in pre-order. So when it's open, it's open. When it's closed, it's closed. So we get a lot of messages when it's closed asking where to buy shirts. And the answer is you just have to wait till there's a pre-order open.
Right.
So right now, the pre-order is open. It is open until December 1st, and we have got a lot of options. We're closing this at December 1st to make sure that the orders can be shipped in time for Christmas, because I know a lot of people are gonna be ordering for that. Mm-hmm. So we have two new designs this time. The first one is one of the most requested t-shirt designs that we've had over the years of our YouTube channel. It's a phrase that I like to say that says, turn your waiting room into a classroom. And this is something that we live by, and it's something that I encourage other people in every chance that I can get. If you have a big dream, if you have a desire in your heart for a lifestyle that's different than the one you're currently able to live, there's that excruciating period between seeing the realization of that dream and where that dream is planted in your heart, and that is the waiting room period, where you're having to wait for fulfillment. The thing I like to encourage other people to do, and that I like to do myself, is take that opportunity of waiting to learn everything you can to be prepared to steward that dream whenever it comes true. So turn your waiting room into a classroom. I love what the artist at Be Unlimited did with my very rudimentary sketch. She made a beautiful piece of art that I think really depicts that phrase well. And the second design was actually all Sweet Maya, so I'll let him tell you a little bit about it.
I mean, I didn't design it, but I got involved because I wanted something that was for everybody, that maybe was a little bit more masculine than some of the other designs that we've done. I also was really wanting something that I could use, like for example, we want to put a logo on the side of the mobile tool shop, things like that. Like that. We
didn't have a logo. We've never had a logo.
That was just kind of like, for, you know what I'm saying, like a general purpose design. And you know, so we made one. It's kind of like these retro-y letters with a sunflower. But the coloring, the way that it came out is like, I don't know. It's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I like it.
Design that has our nets promoting our farm name, and I'm honestly would be proud to slap it on the side of a tool trailer.
So it's kind of cool, just a little background on that. That design says Roots and Refuge Farm established 2014. 2014 is when we moved into this property. It was not a homestead. It was just a foreclosure with no fences, no barns, no gardens. It was just we called it our blank homestead. And that was really the year, 2014 was the year that we really stepped into that fulfillment of this dream that we have. And of course it's grown tremendously since then. We still have big dreams for it to grow even more. But the other thing on that is a sunflower. It's kind of funny, that has become such a symbolic thing for our farm. And it was Maya's mom's flower that she would ask me to plant in the garden. So it makes me think of her, but also sunflowers are very representative to me of regeneration in farming, because there have been studies that show that sunflowers, when planted in areas that have been damaged by like radiation and stuff, they can actually pull that out of the soil. And so to me, sunflowers are a symbol of what regenerative farming can do in the earth. Hey, Ben.
He's been sneaking up in the behind us.
So those are the two new designs. We also have
sweatshirts, hoodies, and zip-ups.
Hoodies, yeah. So these designs are different, available in different things. We've got a zip-up, sweatshirt, hoodie.
Which will probably be the best seller.
Oh my goodness. I like pullover hoodies, he likes zip-up hoodies, but we also offered some plain sweatshirts for those of you who don't like to have a hood on the back of your neck.
So if you choose the sweatshirts because you're Switzerland and you don't want to choose the front. But if you choose the zip-up, you're on Team Maya. If you choose the pullover, you're on Team Jess.
We've had this long discussion because he did not understand why we would offer anything but zip-ups. And I was like, who wants a zip-up? People want a hoodie. So both of those are available in different designs. It's not gonna be an accurate contest, Jeremiah, because they're different designs. And we also
stacked it in my favor.
Oh my goodness. And we also have brought back the Real Food Comes Dirty design on a hoodie and a sweatshirt.
Yes,
that's correct. So anyway, link for all of this to Be Unlimited's Roots and Refuge page is down below. I will put it in the comments as well as the show notes. It's going to be available till December 1st. If you want these, order them by December 1st. They will not be available after that. We have to cut it off. It's so hard for me to do that because I want to give you whatever you want. But
don't be that person. I message us on December 2nd. Be like, hey, where's your hoodies at?
I can't do it. We have to cut it off. It's the hardest thing for me. I really want to give you what you want all the time, but we have to cut it off in order to do the pre-orders. Thank you guys. Let's watch this vlog. I drink significantly more hot tea when it's cold outside. The reason for that is that I love to have a mug of something warm when it's cold outside. It's just like one of my most simple pleasures in life is a mug of something warm when it's cold outside. And I tend to drink more hot tea when the weather gets cold because like rooibos tea doesn't have caffeine in it. And otherwise I'll drink way too much coffee and get completely wired just because I want to be drinking something warm. So I drink a lot of herbal tea when the weather turns, and also drink like broth and stuff. I make bone broth and I'll drink it in my mugs. I literally just like could consume like half of my nourishment through the winter out of a mug and I would be okay. So guys, celebrate with me. We only have a handful more days that I'm gonna have a folding plastic table in my dining room. Maya went like 90 miles per hour to get our kitchen done in record time, completely remodeled this kitchen in like 3 weeks. It was absolutely insane. But then when we got to the end of that project, he was beat. And then of course we have like the garden coming in full speed. And we just decided to chill out and not worry about rushing getting the tables done. But now that, you know, the summer has waned and we're into the fall and we are coming up on Thanksgiving and stuff, he started getting his mobile shop organized and getting ready to build those tables. I think he may be actually starting on the tables today. I know whatever he does will be beautiful and I'm really excited to have it. When you have to go through things like in little inconveniences, obviously it's a total first world problem to have a folding table. It's fine, it's a place to sit. We've eaten our dinner here, it has not been an issue at all. But I think that I will appreciate my tables more now that I've had to wait for them a little bit. Ash, you doing some schoolwork?
Yeah.
Maxing and relaxing? Eating an apple?
Yep.
So we use the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. I get asked that a lot. My older boys are actually homeschooled now. They had the option of like in-person school, but there were going to be a lot of restrictions with COVID, or they could do the online program for public school. And they both were kind of like, we really just went to public school for the sake of being able to socialize. Like that's why they wanted to go to public school, is they wanted that experience. And when it came down to doing public school at home or like a hybrid, they both were like, just can we get homeschool curriculum? Because they like being able to kind of self-regulate and decide what they're focused on more. So they're both doing homeschool curriculum again this year. All right, now that I have my mug of something warm, we can go outside. So Asher's now doing his math, which we use teaching textbooks for that. We're about to pass by my little boys. They're playing outside right now. So the big boys wake up and they jump right into school. Much of it is self-led, and so they do that usually in the morning. The little boys, they come outside and play for like hours in the morning. And that's usually when they have the most energy, that they're just like, they just woke up and they're just really excitable and they get really loud running around in the house. And so while we're outside doing chores, a lot of times they'll help with chores. I usually go straight to the garden in the morning after breakfast, and they're just outside playing. And to give you some context, like it's pretty chilly out here right now. It may not be like this cold, but I am very cold nature and I live in warm sweaters all winter. But my kids have been out here playing hard enough for long enough that they've stripped off the layers and are down to t-shirts. What's up, dudes?
What's up?
What are you doing?
Cooking.
You're cooking. Cool.
This is a pizza pan.
Nice.
I made a stone screw.
You made a stone screw? Okay.
I made a finger hose.
You made a finger hose? All right.
This is a beef stew cooking.
Oh, you're cooking beef stew in your pot over there? Well, cool.
Yep.
Keep up the good work.
Yep. But just pretend.
It's okay. Pretend is important. Y'all, look how fast our trees got bare. So, speaking of the bare trees, this is something that I always think of, and I think it's so funny. As soon as the leaves started falling this fall, I started thinking of it again. Getting negative comments is just like part of doing social media, and I will say that we have such supportive and kind followers. But you know, occasionally you'll have somebody come across your account and you know, they won't know you, they won't know your videos, and they'll watch something and then they'll say something. And sometimes it's so funny to me. And this one comment, I will always remember this. So I did a video, it's been a couple years ago, and it was like the dead of winter here. So obviously there were no leaves on the trees. Hey darlings. They've already been fed, so they're not really interested in me. Now in Arkansas, pine is a pretty big industry, like having timber is a big industry. But here on our property, we don't have just a ton of evergreen trees. Most of the trees we have here on this little piece of land are deciduous, and so they lose their leaves in the winter. There's a little bit of cypress over next door, but it gets pretty bare. Like whenever it's winter here, there's not a lot of leaves. And I got this one comment, and it was so, it's funny now, like it really is. But when I read it, I was like, what? But this person, who obviously just had not watched our videos very much, and I don't know where they were from, but I'm assuming they don't have a lot of deciduous trees there or something. I don't really know. But they were scathing about how we should be completely alarmed here. They had watched another video of our farm when we first got here, and the trees were alive. And now in this video, they wanted to see how we had advanced, so they jumped from like an early video to a later video, and that we should be so alarmed that we had killed all the trees on our property. And they were like really letting us have it about how irresponsible it was for us, and how they couldn't believe that we just seemed like it was fine that every tree on our property had died. And it was winter, so like, now every time the leaves fall off the trees, I hope that it's okay that I'm saying this. I'm not trying to be facetious or catty. Sometimes you just kind of have to laugh whenever you're getting stuff like that. But every time now I go outside and all the trees are bare, I'm just like, we're so irresponsible. Look at those happy birds. They've had their breakfast and now they're rolling around in the creek. Sometimes I come sit right here on this bridge and have my coffee or tea in the morning. I've got to knock the poop off of it first. Hey, Stinky. You better back up. I don't want to play King of the Bridge. I'm not playing that. Hey, so I need your help. Probably about 2 or 3 this afternoon. We need to close up the high tunnel because it's going to get pretty close to freezing tonight, and I want to be able to trap some heat in there. But it is sunny today, so I don't want it to be too hot.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Are you assessing your flocks?
Not really.
Why are you making that snarly face at the ducks?
Because that whole duck pond thing failed horribly for the second time.
No, I'm sorry.
I think it was a good idea. Probably just be easier just to dig a pond. An actual real pond.
Maya's been trying to innovate, like dropping this tub down in the ground to make a duck pond, but he needed a way to be able to like drain it properly, and it just hasn't worked right. So, Manny, come out of there. You're not a duck. Look at him, wet up to his chest because he came and stood in the water. Oh well. Hey birdies. Let's go in the high tunnel. I'm gonna turn the water on for it for a little bit. So much lovely food. In case you missed my long high tunnel tour the other day, note I have broccolis. I'm gonna give these guys some water. Almost all of the plants out here are cold hardy, except for the peppers, and there's some like basil and stuff. But if you have plants and you know you're going to be getting close to freezing, and they are tender plants, one of the things that you can do for them the day that the freeze is coming, early in the day, is water them really well. You don't want to do it, you don't want to water them like right before dark where they're going to just be sitting in a lot of moisture if it's going to get close to freezing, because that would not be good. But watering them early in the day where they have the entire day to soak that up. That water actually insulates the cell walls of the plant, because what kills a frost tender plant when they freeze is that basically, like if you ever put a canned drink in the freezer and exploded, because like the walls of that can couldn't handle the expansion, the contracting of what was inside of it. That's kind of what happens with plants. I mean, that's like oversimplifying it probably, but basically when you come out after a freeze and your garden is just brown mush, it's because all the cell walls of the plant exploded. And watering them actually helps insulate those cell walls so that they can recover if they come close to freezing. If they get a little bit too cold, it kind of helps them get through that. So if you're planning on trying to pull some plants through a freeze, let's say you're gonna have like one cold night and then you've got another couple weeks of warm, water them well that day and then cover them with something. Even just a bed sheet will work, as long as it's not a really hard freeze. Obviously if it's gonna be a whole lot colder than freezing, that's not gonna make a difference, but you can pull them through like a very mild frost with some little measures like that. And then as long as it's warming back up the next day and then it's not going to be repeatedly staying cold, you can extend your garden that way. Look at this kale and cabbages. That's not so beautiful. So one of the things I came out here for, which I left my, oh, it's so much brighter on this end of the tunnel. I had a grocery bag I was going to bring out here, but I forgot it in the house. I did leave a basket out here. I've been bringing multiple baskets back while I'm thinking about it and leaving them for the times I'm not thinking about it. So I just went through my freezers and pulled out the meat that we're going to use this weekend and set it out, put it in some, I just put it in like some pans in the fridge to de-thaw. And actually I'm coming back here, I'm going to pick some rutabagas, I'm going to pick a couple of cabbages and just get some of this stuff in the house for dinner tonight, probably lunch tomorrow. I'm just going to go ahead and grab it now. These rutabagas are massive. I want to get these out of here that have this powdery mildew going on, because I definitely don't want that taking hold in here. So some of these rutabagas are a little on the larger side, which is fine. I'm just going to peel them. And mash them. There's ends of a rutabaga. Okay, actually let's address this, because this is ridiculous. You see how many greens this are? This is not necessarily typical. This is because we put a lot of compost in these beds at the beginning of this season. When we built the high tunnel and built these beds, it was kind of in the midst of COVID stuff, and sourcing was weird, going places was weird. We just got a lot of compost and we were having a hard time finding just regular soil, and we put a lot of compost in these beds. And actually dealt with some like stunting and some growth issues. Obviously not a lot. We got a lot of tomatoes out of here this year. But it was just, it wasn't the best way to do things. And so I haven't tested this soil, but my guess on it would be that it's a little on the high side for nitrogen. And what happens when you have too much nitrogen in your soil is you get a lot of leafy growth and not as much fruit set. And that, I definitely noticed that with my tomatoes this year. We had, I mean, they just grew so tall, so fast. Like my first fruits on my tomatoes were like 2.5 feet up off the ground because they grew so fast, the greens grew so fast, which is a issue of excess nitrogen. And I knew, I actually did not amend these for planting for fall, most of them. We did amend some at the front just to add more organic material so they would hold water better. But a lot of these are growing just in the same compost the tomatoes grew in, and it still has a lot of nitrogen. This much leaf growth on a root this size, this is because of excess nitrogen. And it's not like a massive problem. You can eat rutabaga leaves. They're kind of similar to like turnip greens. Now, if I'm gonna cook like southern greens with a ham bone and like put hot sauce on them, I like collards, that's my favorite, but turnip greens are good too. So sometimes I'll mix them together, and I have mixed rutabaga leaves into it. These are covered in powdery mildew, and I'm just gonna give them to my animals. Alright, so all these greens go into the critters. All these roots go into the kitchen. I should probably not mash my cabbages like that. Sorry, cabbages. And I want to show you guys what's going on here underneath where I just harvested these. By the way, Nana, if you're watching, those were the rutabagas that you sowed this summer. So thanks for dinner. So I want to show you guys underneath here. Now, we sowed these, you know, fairly thickly. Just did a line of them. And then I thinned them out some, moved some. But underneath here, this is how I'll do it sometimes, is I'll leave some extra. So all of these are plants. These just got dislodged from me pulling those rutabagas up. But these are little sprouts. There are several of them. And if you can look here, this is just a rutabaga seedling. Well, I just broke the leaf off that. It's still okay. Still has 2 leaves, so it can still grow. And this has not been developing any root because it didn't have enough resources. Didn't have any sun. It was blocked by those massive leaves of those others. But if I plant this where it does have resources, even as it is right now, and just go stick it in the ground somewhere, it will grow a root. And so what I'll do here is I'll take these that just got pulled up. I'm gonna gather them up. Now if I just left them here, they would dry up because they're not in the ground. Take these. I'm gonna leave some here, which will now thrive since they now will have light. Man, this sucker's had a lot of leaves. So I'm gonna leave some of these, and I'm actually gonna take some of these out. I'm gonna go put them in other places. I can put them in other places in the high tunnel. I could even potentially stick these out in my front garden because I think that they'll grow okay there. It is going to be pretty cold tonight, so that might not be the most ideal way to transplant something on a cold night, but it'll probably be fine. The way I do that is I just go stick these in the ground and then water them really well, and they'll probably grow. I mean, I've definitely got more chances of getting food from them than if I just leave them here to dry up. So I've got these to move, and I've got these to leave. And the water's on right now, and so they're gonna get watered and kind of perk up. I'm gonna go stick these somewhere else, and then I'll come back and get these greens and we'll go give them to the animals. I'm actually just gonna take these over here on the other side of these peppers and plant them. I did not plan on planting things in this white sweater. This is why I can't have nice things. See, I'm just spacing these out, probably 8 inches apart or so, just so they don't have to compete with each other. I was assessing all these things that I have out here that are sowed so thickly. Like, for instance, these right here, these are Brussels sprouts, and they're way too thick to really produce. And so my thought was, is I can just come and gently pull these plants up, take some roots, and then I can go plant this outside somewhere else in the high tunnel and give it the space to thrive. And then in doing that, serve the dual purpose of thinning them out so that these can thrive as well. I also want to harvest the largest of my cabbages because I am craving sauerkraut so bad lately. I want to get some of that fermenting in the kitchen. But first, let's take these greens to some animals. Now, this is obviously a ton of greens, and some people will inevitably ask, like, why would you waste that much food? But you'll notice that we have a ton of stuff growing in this high tunnel. I've got a lot of collard greens over there. I have 45 feet of turnips growing with turnip greens. I have plenty of greens to cook for my family, and so on a case like this, like I know what I want to make for dinner tonight. I don't want to make greens for dinner tonight, and these do have powdery mildew. They do have some aphids. Just the work of turning these into dinner would be greater because they would have to be like individually scrubbed really well, and I just don't want to do it. So for me, feeding these to my animals is not wasteful, because I'm going to give these to my pigs, and you should just see how happy they are when they get special treats. It's really sweet. I think actually we're going to give these to the mamas and the babies. They come running when they see me coming with greens. Come on. Come on. Yummy. We don't want to leave out Gerard. Hey, bud. And actually, let's go grab some for Doris. Hey, lady. There you go. Listening to pigs smack while they eat is so fun to me. I just could sit and watch them eat for forever. They're just so cute to me. I just find giving them little garden treats so satisfying. When I walk in here, my heart just soars. So love it. Alright, so these rutabagas, most of these are like a purple top rutabaga. A couple of these are the Navone yellow, which I also really love those. They're both really good. And these are a little bit bigger. Some are smaller. But what I'll do with these is peel them, dice them, boil them, and then mash them with some sour cream and chives. And they are so good. Now ideally, I would harvest this cabbage with a knife, but I didn't bring one out. So we're just gonna twist it until it comes loose. There we go. Again, outer leaves of cabbage, they're edible. They're just tougher, but if you're doing like Asian stir fry, they work for that. I usually give them to the animals, unless I'm like specifically trying to make Asian stir fry. But since today I'm just trying to make sauerkraut, I'm just gonna do like a little batch. I'm just gonna pick this one that's bigger. The rest of these, I hate to harvest them now, because if I give them another week, they're gonna grow significantly. And I can make one little batch of sauerkraut, which will get me through until the cabbages are bigger. And then I can make more. Scrap leaves. Who should get these? We'll give these to the goat. You always ask to see our compost pile. Here's a couple of them. We're obviously very technical in our composting. Not. Hey girls, y'all want some cabbage leaves? There we go. Look over here. Got some little golden beets. Most of these don't have very large roots yet, but I'm glad to know that they're finally getting roots. They were so blocked by that other stuff. They're not really getting a lot of sun. So my lunch every single day this week has been salads from this red romaine. It's so good. I noticed the flavor started to get a little bit more bitter because it's been warm the last few days, but we're about to have another cold snap, so it'll probably mellow back out. Whenever I'm harvesting fall food like this daily, just being able to eat fresh out of the garden every single day with leafy greens and roots and making ferments and all that stuff, I think I love this. I love fall food. This is my favorite time to eat out of the garden. But then summer rolls back around and I start making tomato sandwiches and eating fresh bell peppers and cutting melons open, eating those, and basil, everything. And I think I love this. It's my favorite time to eat out of the garden. And truly what I really think that I actually love the most is I just love to eat seasonally. I love eating what grows during that season. I think it's so good for you, but it just fosters such appreciation for food whenever you don't eat it and it's not available. I don't want to eat tomatoes that are shipped from across the world, so I just don't eat tomatoes during that time. I'll eat the canned tomatoes, and even still, like if I didn't have canned tomatoes, I would still buy like you know, store-bought canned tomatoes. I'm not opposed to that. I think that that's definitely a better way to get that flavor rather than the fresh tomatoes that were picked green and shipped across the world. So I'm not like a total purist about eating seasonally. Only what we grow, only during the season we grow. That's not it at all. But when it comes to eating fresh food, like this is so good. I don't eat a ton of lettuce during the summer because it doesn't grow well here. It's too hot for it. And so whenever I can pick it every day, I eat salads, just plain. I mean, I don't put a ton of stuff on it. Maybe some diced up turnips, maybe some radishes, a little bit of cheese, and a really simple dressing. And the lettuce is just so good that I could eat this every single day while I have lettuce and love it. And I don't know, it makes food come alive in a greater way to me, to eat it when I have it and not eat it when I don't have it. This is where I'm going to say goodbye to you guys because my camera is almost dead. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I bless you. Until next time.